welcome back to LinkedIn Logs. I turned down the ROM knob. LinkedIn Logs, a jobs podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. I've been doing this for at least 63 episodes. This is the 63rd episode, episode 63. I've been doing this for 63 episodes. I've been doing the constitutionals for at least 400 or so, including... I guess at this point, or close to 400, including the bonus episodes. I've been doing late night lately for 50 some odd episodes, and yet I still cannot seem to figure out how to turn down the Zoom H6, the handy recorder that I use here. Plugged into the computer, episode 63. I'm sorry, guys. It's been a rough month, but you know what? Here we are. We're doing it. Episode 63. I'll say it one more time just to get it to your heads. What's been going on? Nothing much. Let's move on to the first stories. This is a very true thing. Last Wednesday. So last week I was talking about how Warner Brothers Discovery just let go. Actually, I think 2 weeks ago, let go 200 people, and they're going to rehire 200 people. They let go 200 people on like a lot of physical jobs, and they're going to rehire 200 people digitally. A lot of those jobs that made up the new rehiring process are on the digital side. A lot of them are kind of like IT, like engineer style jobs, which makes sense. They want to focus on digital. I also received an email from CNN saying, "Hey, do you want to subscribe to our new subscription service?" And I said, "I sure do not." But I'm currently on the website right now looking at Warner Brothers Discovery jobs. So at the Atlanta location, there's now a total of 132, as opposed to 3 weeks ago there was like 78 jobs. And this also includes internships. Now, they moved a lot of the production jobs here, which will be done remotely. Not remotely. They'll be done here in Atlanta at the Turner campus, which I still refer to it as. They'll be done here in Atlanta while, controlling robot cameras and producing stories from here, while shows are being shot in New York and Washington. Just all to save money. I applied to 6 or 7 of the jobs, and I did not hear. While I did not hear back from any of those, for the first time in a very long time, a recruiter who was not from Warner Brothers, but like an outside recruiter, because I assume now they're just using outside people. Because those Warner Brothers recruiters, even the ones that I'm connected to, will not respond to me. A recruiter reached out to me and said, "Chad, this job, we think you would be a good fit." First of all, it was a job that was, I'd already applied to, and B, based on my resume, you would think that I'd be ready for it. But based on the people who don't hire me, I'm not ready for it. So it was a senior position, senior producer position. And this person said, "You'd be great for it. Apply. Let me know if you want to apply. I'll send over the details on the stuff." I said, "Great, I'll do it. Let's do it." This person sends me the details. I did the application, or I sent them my interest and all that stuff, and I sent them my resume and everything. And then they get back to me no less than 24 hours later. And she's like, "Yeah, so I'll name the gender. This is Wednesday now." She asked me for my phone number. I said, "Yeah, I'm interested. I can chat anytime." So great. What's your number for a quick call? Give her my number. And then Thursday afternoon, she responds, "Hi, Chad. Unfortunately, they ended up putting this role on hold this morning. I'll let you know if it reopens." Smiley face. And I'm like, well, shit. This keeps happening. In the same time frame, somebody else reaches out to me. "Hi, Chad. I have an exciting digital content creator role at a fast-paced, creatively driven agency. Would love to discuss with you further." I was like, "Hey, I'm excited." I responded literally instantly. She responds 4 minutes later. I gave her my phone number and I apply for the job and I don't hear back from this person. That was January 23rd. Oh my gosh. Hey, hey, just waiting to hear back from you. Oh my gosh. This is, again, it doesn't matter what I do. It just seems like the entire universe is pointing me to go work in retail and that be my entire life. Because, and I'm not saying, I want to give up, but there are just so many signs where the universe is like, you should probably fucking quit. It's whatever. And this is not to put down anybody who does that, who goes and works in fact. When I was at not Warner Brothers, excuse me, before I got my first job at the NBC affiliate here, WXIA, I and everybody else I graduated from college with, they got jobs, they had internships, you know, not for nothing they were getting married, which I don't want to do it. I was dumb at 21. But they, I was working in a factory. I was working in an UPS factory. I mentioned this many, many times. And I couldn't get a job for the life of me except for this $10 an hour job. Which one time I was driving to, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. I was driving to, and I was pulled over by a cop dead at night. Again, 4 o'clock in the morning. I was pulled over by a cop and my tag was expired. And the way he berated me, he's like, I could just take this car from you right now. I was like, dude, I'm trying to get to work. And I was late for work and then I got in trouble. Oh my gosh. But anyway, everybody there at the UPS factory, and I'm not, and like, I'm dead serious when I say this. Everybody who was over the age of 40 had been there for like 5, 10, years or so. And that was just what they did. And they were happy about it. And I hated it for the 8 months I was there. 6 months, excuse me. But man, oh man. And I lived that life. I don't want to go back. It sucks. I don't want to go back to serving. I don't in restaurants. I'm not gonna. You see me out there on the front lines. The front lines of restaurants. I'm getting in so much trouble. And then like to, so I keep a routine. Someone I just had a friend text me and I was relaying, just the first month of 2025 to them. And they were like, well, would you ever change your gym time? And I'm like, no. I think the best thing for me is to keep the same schedule at this point because it's the only thing that's keeping me in the game. In the game that we call life. It's so interesting. It's so interesting. I see, and I'll get to this in a second. Now I'll jump into my stories. I have 3 stories right now because I need to get rid of one of them. This one comes from Engadget, written by Carissa Bell. LinkedIn wants you to apply for fewer jobs. Did I talk about this? Oh, you know what? This was a story I held off for a couple of weeks because I had other things to talk about. Part of the problem about how tough it can be to land jobs, to even land an interview, according to LinkedIn, is that too many people are applying for jobs that aren't actually qualified for, which makes it harder for good candidates to stand out, writes Ms. Bell. The company has introduced a new AI-powered job match feature, and they hope that it helps with, I guess, how people are applying for jobs. The feature, which is beginning to roll out today, mid-January, January 15th, uses AI to provide detailed summaries alongside job listings that let users know how qualified they actually are for a given role. Now, it seems to me that they already had something along these lines. But I'm currently on the LinkedIn job portal right now, and you know what? I'll click on it. I'll click on a role that I applied to about 10 minutes ago before I started this episode. And I'm not seeing what I am seeing some AI powered tool. However, it is just for the premium users, and I LinkedIn Premium is trash. So why would I pay for the use of that? It's like Apple going pay for Siri. And I go no, thank you. When I've got Google Assistant, Gemini, and others, ChatGPT. LinkedIn product manager Rohan Rajiv says that the AI powered feature goes beyond the kind of simple keyword matching that job hunters may already rely on. Instead, it attempts to understand the breadth of your experience and how it aligns with the qualifications outlined in the job description. I don't know if this job match feature is something that, AI is being thrown into everything. It's on dating apps. It's going to be thrown into every Google thing. It's going to be it's on my iPad at this point. It's not, but it's not something that is necessarily needed for here. For let's say AI and video games, I'm not going to be a naysayer that says we need to go without AI forever. But AI and video games, there's a new device that came out called the MSI Claw 8. I believe that's what it's called. 8 AI Plus, and they're using AI upscaling. If you've ever seen a Steam Deck, it's a mini PC with controllers on the side that you can use Windows 11 on. But they use AI upscaling, I guess, to make your game look better, perform better, even if it's not meant to perform that well on this mini device. But is AI, and that just seems kind of passive. It seems like it's harmless in a lot of the ways. It's just okay. I'm playing The Witcher 3 on my MSI Claw 8 AI Plus. Uh, it looks slightly better than it does on the Steam Deck. It looks slightly better than it does on my PC, on my Mac. But does AI need to be thrown into this job hunting thing that you A, need to pay for, and B, it's just essentially just summarizing what the job is looking for and comparing it to what's in your resume or your profile? Does that need to be done? Will I, what it's only been 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, less than 20 days. Less than 20 days since this thing's rolled out. And there's so many people looking for jobs. A story that we'll talk about in a moment, but there's so many people, a story in a similar vein of what we'll talk about in a moment. But is it really going to make that much of a difference for people in the entertainment industry, in the video games industry, in the tech industry itself? No. It does not seem like it's going, because there's still, I can click on any job. I can click on a senior producer job at CNN right now that they put up an hour ago, and I can click on it, and so can 1,000, 10,000 other people. But what does that really mean in the end? Because let's pretend that in the city of Atlanta, there's 5,000 people who are qualified to be a producer, who are technically producers, be it television, broadcast, local, whatever, audio producer, video producer, but they still have the same qualifications, or they have similar qualifications to this. Now let's weed out 1,000 of them that are actually qualified for the senior position. That's still you, me, versus 1,000 people. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. I don't know what this company is. Oh. Oh. Okay. They can leave it. It's a job. I don't know if it's a job thing. I truly don't know. I'm making a podcast. Now, this next story, this comes from Matt Grossman at the Wall Street Journal. Fewer Americans are quitting their jobs. I see it all the time. I see this is something that I see the opposite of this all the time. I see, or at least the complainings of it. I understand that, a number of years ago, there were people who could quit jobs and bounce in my generation, who could quit jobs and bounce around. And my generation, the greatest generation, we survived Vietnam. Oh my gosh, the greatest generation. Maybe that was the last good generation. Because these Gen Z kids, that's the generation after me. Ugh. They're insufferable. Generation X, they took the last good jobs. Generation Y? What am I? Yeah, I'm Y. Am I Generation Y? I'm a millennial. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Who cares? But people were bouncing around all the time, and now we're seeing fewer Americans. Fewer Americans are quitting their jobs. New data shows the number of workers who left their jobs last year hit the lowest level since 2020. Now, if you remember in 2020, you either stayed at your job because they allowed you the flexibility to work from home, and you were unsure and they were unsure, and you just made all your money and worked from home, or you took that remote possibility, traveled, did your thing, moved back somewhere, moved to somewhere, and then you said, I don't need this job. You just quit and you moved on, did something for yourself, moved on to another company, whatever. But now we're in this uncertainty. We've got tariffs being thrown about, the word tariffs. This president's a real terrorist. He's a real... Hold on, I got this. Terrorist. Americans quit. I'm reading the article now. Americans quit 39.6 million jobs in 2024, down 11% from the year before at 22%, and down 22%, from a recent peak in 2022, according to the Labor Department data published on Tuesday. Meanwhile, this is a very true fact. I'm unable to get unemployment. The share of employees who quit their jobs each month has fallen below the pre-pandemic level, and some economists expect more decreases ahead. In 2019, you saw roughly 40 million. In 2020, you saw about 35 million. And again, the peaks were at 22. We're in the year 2022 at 50. The job switching is something that doesn't happen often anymore. People wanted, the better pay, the better perks, flexibility, and all that stuff. Businesses were ready to go, but now with businesses saying, get back in the office, and people, the housing market to that bubble to burst, and that's not the right term to put it in, but people are unable to move and do anything. And they just kind of had to hunker down. It's like being in a bad relationship. And you guys live together. I'm talking about my neighbors. So I'm sorry, I should not say that. Unemployment is modest, and the economy. I think of America as a big company. We're firing a lot of people, sending them back to work. You're fired. Yeah, and there's a president who's used to saying that. Layoffs are happening all over the place. The Labor Department will release its latest monthly jobs report on Friday, and economists expect another month of decent job growth and steady unemployment rate at 4.1%. Oh, I have so many jokes I want to go through, but I can't. This isn't constitutional. This is supposed to be the buttoned up podcast. I'm wearing a Henley. It's got 3 buttons on it. Hiring along with quitting has slowed too. The share of workers hired into new jobs every month fell to an average of 3.5% in 2024. A decline from a recent peak of about 4.4% in 2021. Last year, Americans hired about 66 million times, down from 71 million in 2023. Now, Here's the thing. I don't know if it's my LinkedIn, but I see a lot of people getting hired, getting promoted all the time. I saw someone last week basically post what seemed to be a layoff post, and then not 2 days later, they're like, I'm joining WBD in this department. I'm like, excuse me, like shoot, man, we're the same age. It's ridiculous. Uh Maybe I should just like rob a bank. I played GTA 5. I know how to do this. I beat that game in 2013, so we'll see if I still remember. Workers in well-paid office job, and I'm kidding. Don't get your panties in a wad. Workers in well-paid office jobs are encountering an especially challenging job market. Companies in tech, law, and related industries hired a few years ago, and now many have less need for new employees. We hear this all the time. Companies expect workers to do more with less. Meta Platforms plans to cut 5% of its workforce this month. The Fed paused further rate cuts last week with inflation still modestly above target, and traders are betting that the central bank might not bring rates lower again until June. Sometimes I wonder how people can keep their jobs because, I'll see somebody post something just wildly dramatic on LinkedIn. And, or, I'll be watching a review or reading a review, watching or reading something, anything. But I'm saying a review. I read stuff on the internet. I read a lot of what's it called? New York Times articles and Wall Street Journal articles. This is a Wall Street Journal. I read a lot of stuff. I read a lot. I'm trying to prove that I'm smart. This is a little anecdote. This is a little side story, non sequitur. I'm gonna say my wife. I'm very single. I wake up for the gym at 3:45, and I was leaving my apartment this morning after I'd had my coffee and I'd done my pre-workout regimens, and I was leaving my apartment this morning. My neighbor on that side is a nurse or a doctor. She leaves in scrubs. But we left at the exact same time. Opened the door at the same time, locked the door at the same time. I said, "Good morning." And she's like, "Good morning." But to see her walk and go off to work, and then to see me in an old sweatshirt and the shortest shorts possible, because it was leg day, and baby, I gotta show off these yams. And then I also had a reusable grocery bags just hanging on the door from like Saturday. So I was walking with that, and then also my gym bag on my back. So I'm just like doodle 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 doodle. And I can only imagine what she sees at 4:30 in the morning is just like this dumb idiot who she could probably hear talking to himself most of the time, and the pets, as she goes to work, in a hospital doing hospital things, and I'm just like, I'm gonna spend 3 hours working out. I got the time. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, people bouncing from jobs. Fewer Americans are quitting. Now, let's go back to corporate America. Oh my gosh. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm talking to myself. This comes from NPR. How Corporate America Got DEI Wrong, written by Maria Aspen. NPR was doing a round of hiring for their Washington bureau, and I don't want to live in Washington. I also saw an email in the C Plus Comedy email account that was from one of the trade publications, I believe, Variety or Hollywood Reporter, either one of those, or the others that I subscribe to on that email. And it just said Elon Musk wants to defund all of the government. And he said, let's defund NPR. And it's just... As far as I know, there are at least 3 people in my neighborhood with or the surrounding area, because I see them. Like minimum 2, but I know there's at least 3 with Cybertrucks. And I just think, what kind of what kind of man, let's just put it that way. What kind of man who is trying to overcompensate? What do you need that for? I'd rather you drive just a big regular truck. You don't even need a big truck. Why are you living in Atlanta and driving this thing? Why are you living in the middle of a populous city where parking spaces aren't that big? Even here, there's people with giant Forerunners and trucks with extended cabs that have never been dirty in their lives. Jeeps, never been dirty. Lifted, giant wheels, never touched a lick of dirt. My car has gone off, and mine's a hybrid. 5 years ago, in the wake of George Floyd's murder and the sweeping reckoning on racism it sparked, corporate America rushed to join in. We saw companies put out statements. We support our people of color, our black workers. When nightclub shootings have happened, in the queer world, we support our queer coworkers. Sometimes I don't know if this still happens, but when there's school shootings, our thoughts and prayers go out to, schools and stuff. You saw companies doing that. The country's largest companies pledged almost $50 billion toward addressing racial inequality. In the year after Floyd's death, the Washington Post estimated in 2021. Now you're just seeing companies basically in the past month or so turn heel. Mounting political and legal attacks have turned DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, from a corporate rallying cry to a politically toxic football. It's a story every single night, in the same way that things happening in Syria and Palestine is a story on PBS NewsHour, my favorite news hour. You see a DEI story, which is quite crazy that is being put in the same name as more serious things. Conservative critics have long claimed DEI itself is discriminatory. You see a lot of people who don't have no colored friends or queer friends or friends who are differently abled, who are blaming the LA wildfires, who are blaming that recent helicopter and plane collision on DEI, saying it's bad. Now, why would businesses want to or need to connect with their workers in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space? Before George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and everybody after that incident, that time period were murdered, many big companies were already promoting themselves as leaders in this society, not just business. That was called a definition of stakeholder capitalism. Companies argued that they could do more to help workers, society, and the planet, while also making more money for investors. That's when you saw, along the same lines, companies like Samsung and Apple say we're fighting towards having equal pollution. Is that what it's called? Or equal CO2 output? I don't know. And in the year 2030, that's when GM and Ford are saying, hey, we're only going to produce electric cars by the year 2035. Apple and Samsung should continue that. We're going to take out chargers from our phones, from when you buy a new phone. So now when you buy a new phone, you get a cable, and that's it. A cable in the phone. Many experts saw this rhetoric as fundamentally flawed, and soon it turned out it was largely ineffective. Paying workers more inevitably costs money and cuts in short term profits. So does turning down business opportunities that could have a negative impact on the environment. Meanwhile, CEOs who take stands on social or environmental issues risk drawing the ire of politicians and customers who disagree. Remember the Bud Light thing with Dylan? Oh, jeez. What was it? Bud Light with Dylan Mulvaney drinking a Bud Light, and then Kid Rock being like, I don't support Bud Light no more. And he shot all that Bud Light, which for him, I guess, is cool. But what we, and then you see all the racists like, I'm not going to drink Bud Light anymore. I'm going to drink Michelob Ultra or whatever piss water there is. Bud Light's a sponsor of this show. I wish. I'll take anything at this point. A lot of analysts point out that DEI policies can have a significant business impact, even if they're not apparent in short-term financial results. Costco for example, recently told investors that its DEI efforts, quote, help bring originality and creativity to our merchandise offerings and, quote, enhance our capacity to attract and retain employees who will help our business succeed, among other benefits. Imagine if you are a company, let's go back to Apple. I'll just say Apple, I don't know why. Let's just say a random company. Imagine your company and you have products that only appeal to one sector. Well, there's only so much you can do with that one sector. At some point, you're going to have to branch out if you want to make more money because you've kind of squeezed one of those dry. Case in point, let's take the Nintendo Switch. Let's take Nintendo, for instance. If the Switch was purely just Super Mario side-scrolling games, Mario open world games, Legend of Zelda open world games, Animal Crossing, that's great. And you can make so much money with that. But you need third-party support outside of the first party. Somebody tell that to Microsoft. Oh no, we'll send Forza Horizon 5 to PlayStation. That'll make us money. Yeah, but then you lose one of your big three tentpoles. Microsoft. I'll stop. Listen to the Constitutionals if you want to hear me talk about that story, which was insane to hear last week, that Forza Horizon, one of, outside of Gears and Halo, the largest Microsoft only franchise is going to PlayStation. Ugh, it's ridiculous. It's already on PC. Anyway, whatever. I don't want to get into it here. I could, though. But Nintendo, you need that third-party support. You need a company like Sega releasing a Sonic the Hedgehog game on your platform. You need a company like Atlas releasing a Persona game. You know, you need companies coming in and helping you bolster a reason for people to own a Nintendo Switch. Because otherwise, you're just going to have people who are playing your games on your first party games on your system, and then putting the system away and pushing it aside. That's what I do with my PlayStation. I bought it for Until Dawn, and then I said, let me try some of these other first party games. And then every time I beat one, I'm like, all right, PlayStation's taking a back seat. Xbox, Nintendo, here we go. Jamie Dimon, as I said last week, I think, JP Morgan Chase CEO says that, hey man, DEI is good for business, quotes, good for business. It's morally right. We're good. We're quite good at it. We're successful. And yes, Chase is the biggest bank, and Costco is so secure in itself that its website is still looking like it's designed in the year 2000. And it probably was. And they don't need you. They want you. They don't need you. But this is how companies should be looking at DEI. This is how they should be seeing it and going, you know what? It's gonna affect our bottom line. in 5 years and in 5 months. If Netflix only made shows for tweens, you wouldn't be watching Netflix. No, they make shows for everybody. And for better or worse, them throwing paint at the wall is attracting everybody. Sexists, racists, people who aren't sexist and racist, smart people, dumb people. Look at Love is Blind. Smart people and dumb people watch that show. You know, straight people, queer people watch that show. And then they're going to be like, hey, let's watch. I like Love is Blind. What else is on there? Oh, Love on the Spectrum. Let me watch that. Oh, what else is on there? I can't think of another Netflix show. Jesus. What's wrong with me? Squid Game? Let me see what's going on Squid Game. Pokemon Horizons? 2 of those shows I watch. Squid Game and Pokemon Horizons. It's a great show. I love Pokemon Horizons. I love Pokemon. Nintendo, make another Pokemon game. Excuse me. The Pokemon Company, make another Pokemon game. I still have 2 I haven't beaten. It's all right. So we will continue to see. DEI is not going away entirely, but with companies essentially doing a mass exodus, we will see different versions of it. Maybe even shifts. They won't be using the word DEI, the term DEI. They won't be using diversity, equity, inclusion. It'll probably go under some other umbrella term. So as long as that's going, I think we can be fine about it. Because it was turned into a political asset for one side, and then the other side fell for it. Fell for it being used negatively. I'm saying Republicans use it as an asset negatively. And then the Dems were like, dang, no, it's not. We should continue doing it. But with companies being punished because by certain administration officials, by quite possibly the largest administration official right now, with companies being punished because of their efforts, a lot of them are turning tail and saying, hey, paying a penalty or getting, housed or getting called a racist company because there are people, I'm trying to be as apolitical as possible. There are people saying that we are racist because we are hiring people of color, or that we're giving attention to it. That's what's going on right now. And look, if we can, how do you get a child or somebody who is an adult who doesn't eat vegetables to eat vegetables? You mix it in with something they like. You throw some cheese on it. So what I'm saying is, you take this broccoli, this cauliflower, you throw some cheese. You just throw a lot of cheese on it, and then those poorly eating people will be like, hey, this is pretty good. And I'm like, haha, it's diversity. And they're like, no, diversity. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where there are so many different things going on. You can find it if you want to watch a video version of the show. YouTube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can also watch me talk to famous people. I have a new interview coming out tomorrow on the Constitutionals. So if you want to see a video version of that, youtube.com/cpluscomedy. You can also check out the audio version on the Constitutionals feed, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also check out Late Night Lately, the late night show, where I talk about late night. Subscribe to those wherever you get your podcasts, youtube.com/cpluscomedy to watch it. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Facebook at cpluscomedy. Me on those platforms at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you later. Bye.